Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. It's a beautiful hump of the week, Wednesday morning. You're tuned into the Smooth Breakfast with me, Ayokunmi Kekiriakum. And it's that time to get into the world of the dailies. Take a look at the headlines that making the rounds in the papers across Nigeria because this is freshly pressed. It's always a great time to have a look at what the papers are saying, all the major stories that have us and have you talking as well. And of course, my analysts are in for the morning to take a deep dive and make sense of it all. Lakunle Yusuf, and of course, Devo Okuri are in the studio or are with me virtually this morning, but still with me in spirit in the studio. Good morning to you, Lakunle and Devo.
Good morning, Ayokunmi. Good to be here again. Good morning, Devo. Good morning to our dear listeners. It's Money Talk this morning.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Good morning, world. Good morning, Lagos. Ayo Lakunle. Eku. Senator rep salary too bad.
Devo, you just had to give that through pass because that's what I'm going to start the conversation. But before I jump into the story itself, just to let our listeners know how they can be a part of the discussion, as usual, you can send your messages in to us on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981. That's the WhatsApp number. You can also join the live stream on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. So just go into your YouTube app and type in smooth 981 FM Lagos. Very simple, very straightforward. All right, let's jump into the papers. Let's pick up the punch. And of course, as Devo said, he has given a very good idea of where we're going with this one. And maybe let's take a bit of it before he gives his thoughts. The Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission has refuted recent claims regarding the earnings of Nigerian senators. Now, a former senator, Shehu Sani, had claimed that senators receive a monthly running cost of 13.5 million naira in addition to a 750,000 naira basic salary. Now, Sani emphasized that the RMAFC is constitutionally empowered to determine the salaries and allowances of lawmakers, but lacks the authority to enforce compliance. Now, Devo, I mean, RMAFC have more or less been in the news recently about the senator salaries and so on and so forth. But now they decided to give us some numbers. What are your thoughts on this one?
Okay, it's always authentic when you hear the government agencies speak on issues that are contested or that are mired in debates. Like, for example, why did the Oil Regulatory Agency, that's NUPNDU, say that Dangote's fuel was below standard? Here we have an age-old debate of earnings of our National Assembly members, that is the House of Reps and the Senators, that has been in the news recently. Obviously, the most recent one was Obasanjo, who criticized them for immorally fixing their salaries. Also, on the back of a former senator, Shehu Sani, who had on a broadcast station mentioned that they earn about 13.5 million monthly alongside their salaries. So I think in response by the National Assembly, they got the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, the RMAFC, to respond. And they came out with a breakdown saying that, well, the notions that have been pushed into the media are wrong, and that the senators, about 109 of them, get about a monthly salary of 1,063,000 thereabouts. And then they gave another breakdown of some other earnings and allowances that they get. However, you see, my problem here is that this response is being clever by half. Because let's just break it down a bit here. If you break down this earnings and salaries, what it means is, because what they said is that all the senators combined together earn about 1.5 billion per annum. Now, the point here is, why would the RMAFC want to mislead Nigerians? Because we do also have on record in 2021, the Senate President Lawan, when this same issue came up again, because it's always dogging every assembly, did come out and clarify to the people that the senators, that 13 million that was pushed out to the public or in the media, was not a monthly salary. because what Nigerians had kept in their minds that senators earn about 13 million per month. And then the House of Reps earn about 8 million. So by the time you times that, it comes to about 152 million per annum. He clarified and said that that was misleading, that the 13 million was actually a quarterly running allowance, okay? Meaning they earn it 4 times a year. So if you times that by 4, what you get is about 52 million for senators and about 32 million for House of Rep members. Now, if you add their salaries about 1.5, which is stated then, and the House of Rep salaries at 1.3, the senator will be earning about 18 million plus the 52, which gives you 70 million per annum. And the House of Rep will be earning 32 million on allowances and about 15.6 on salaries, which brings it to about 48 million. Even if he disputed Senator Shehu's position of it coming monthly, I can even go with what the Senate president had said, because that begins to look more feasible. And if you break it down, because you need to understand what is this money all about, where does it add up? Yes, the salary hovers around $1 million, but they do get allowances that cover aids, security, wardrobe, travel, consulting, medical, stationaries, newspaper, vehicle maintenance, furniture, housing, leave allowance. And the one that has always caused the friction is the constituency allowance, which is what takes up the earnings of our National Assembly members. And I think it's about time that the Nigerian citizens, honestly, they need to checkmate the National Assembly once and for all. The people who represent the masses, because there are about 109 senators and about 300 and something House of Rep members, cannot be acting and behaving in what do I call it? Dubious manners. You can't just be coming out to tell us, we just earn about ₦1 million because salary is all people basically understand to be the earnings of the senators. You have a complete compensation structure that adds up. These are things that should not even be debated. They should be published, public information. I don't even need to go through a lawyer or invoke the great federal information bill to get this information. It is a shame that in this country, unlike other countries, that salaries and wages and earnings, allowances of electable officers, of civil servants is shrouded in secrecy. Come on, what are we talking about here? We should know what the president earns. We know what the 3 arms of government, just like the earnings of the judiciary have been published. You also have the earnings of the executive published, ministers. You also have the earnings of the legislators published, made easy. Everybody that goes in there knows what is obtainable. How have we shrouded this in secrecy that it's now being debated? And I feel bad for the Nigerian people that every time this question is asked, the National Assembly itself begins to act clever by half. It's our money, our taxes that pay you. You have no right to shroud it in secrecy. So I expect Nigerians next time, because they're behaving like a cult, next time you think of protesting, next time you think of holding your government to account, you need to hold them to the facts of the issues that are real, things that you can hold on to. Now, I'll have to say this, even though Obasanjo was querying them, many people don't know that he was part of the reason why they got to this point, because he was one that introduced constituency allowances. And what was the constituency allowance introduced? It was around the period where he was pushing for 3rd term, and the National Assembly at that time asked that, bros, if you want us to help you change the laws, you're also going to have to rub our backs. That was the beginning of devilish negotiation in the National Assembly. That is why most of them continue saying that constituency allowance, contingency allocations are not theirs. But we can see clearly, if you look at other breakdowns in other papers, that the constituency allowance is introduced into the allowances that they get. I feel bad for Nigeria, honestly, because this should never be a debate. It should never be something that is up for a conversation. It should be straightforward. And the point here is that if the National Assembly members, both House of Reps and senators, were doing their job, delivering on why they were there, nobody would bother about their earnings. But because we believe they earn so much and do so little. That's why we call them fat cats. I rest my case and I lay this problem on the tables of Nigerians to resolve.
All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Devo. Luckily, I'm going to come to you now. We're still staying in the punch and still talking about salaries and allowances and so on and so forth, where President Bola Tinubu has signed the Judicial Office Holders' Salaries and Allowances Bill into law. Now, the special advisor to the president on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja yesterday.
I'd look at it from three perspectives. Please remind me that I said three. Right. One, congratulations to our judicial officers at the federal level. So if you were earning 1 million before, it now goes to 3 million naira. If you were earning 10 before, it becomes 30 million naira. And then it means that the things that they worry about outside of their duties, they worry less about it and they can concentrate better on their jobs, which then I want to assume and presuppose would then mean that they will be more dutiful at doing their jobs so that justice is not delayed or denied. And we'll try to get as many people who are awaiting trial get to the end of their cases so that those who are not found guilty can go home. Then two, just coming down from where Devo ended it. So according to this report, the Chief Justice of the Federation would earn about 64 million naira per annum. Now, it's so clear the way the House, the National Assembly, and the presidency quickly came outside to announce these numbers to us to hear. Okay, so we have had it. The curiosity of all of this for me is that, okay, so the judiciary is supposed to be the third arm of government. It's supposed to have its own first line of deduction from the federal allocation. So if it is an independent arm of government that is not supposed to rely on executive or the legislative, so to say, how come then that one, the president is the one who is approving the salaries? The president is not the one approving the salaries of the people in the House and in the National Assembly. I don't think that they will review it and then send the president to approve that this is how much your salaries should be. Yes, the revenue mobilization, whatever that is, a power to set these things. So I look at it that the Judicial Service Commission, how independent is it from the presidency? That is part of the things that I think that the legal people and our National Assembly should look at. We need to assert the independence of these people so that from within, even up to the extent that appointing a chief judge should not be subject to approval of the president.
No, he's not approving. He's assenting to the law so that the budget can be provided.
No, but the report says approves.
Salary. Yes, it's a play on words, but it has to be put into law. And a budget provision must be made. That's why the president has to sign.
Yes, so it also still comes to what I'm saying, that when you do that, is it within their power then to announce what is inside it? It should be the job of the judiciary itself to do. I mean, you cannot take the responsibility of an independent body and do for them. So the point I'm trying to make is that each unit of the government should take responsibility for its own and not supersede. You see, this is why you have, particularly in the states, a governor will buy cars and have the judges line up to come and collect keys. You know, you understand what I'm saying? That's the point of it I'm trying to make, that the judiciary is not much as independent as the Constitution wants it, desired it to be. Okay. And that is what we need to assert. Then the third and final part of it now is that now that we are where we are, I hope that from the federal level, this will trickle down to the states. Because, for example, we say that the federal high courts and the state high court are of equal jurisdiction. How then would it be if I'm a judge in the federal high court and you are a judge in the state high court and I earn like 3-4 times what you earn? Where does that leave me with my diligence to my jobs? And I hope that this will trickle down. Meanwhile, the state governors already have battle with the 70,000 naira for minimum wage anyway that they are fighting. So imagine that this now comes along again. And so how is that problem going to solve at that level? So with these 3 points all put together, there's still a lot of work to be done beyond approving, assenting, announcing. So it is that work now that we need to get done so that the real effect of this can then be seen.
All right, thank you for that, Lakumi. We're going to get back into the stories, but we need to take a quick breather right now. And so many more things to get into, particularly a story coming out of the Premium Times talking about Nigeria's healthcare system. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1 to find out about that and a whole lot more.
I want to contribute to this health one.
At this rate, now those 4 stories you go take, because I know say there's a lot to be said about that one.
We'll tell Devo to give me 1 minute of his scheduled 5 minutes. So I will just stop. Devo share the
Yeah, I'm not saying you credit my account.
Yeah, send it.
You have to pay for 1 minute.
Send it.
Be your brother's keeper.
You when you dey inside jungle, where you go spend the money? Then they spend money inside jungle.
Will they buy solid minerals for here?
Let's get back into the stories, I beg.
To address the roots.
Welcome back to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's a beautiful Hump of the Week Wednesday morning. My name is Ayokunmi Kekere. I'm great to have you along on the ride. You can join us by sending your thoughts in on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. You can also join us on the live stream on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Yes. Let me get into WhatsApp and take a couple of messages. They're lining up already, so they don't choke me eventually. Okay, this is from Dio. This is a lengthy one. I'll just have to summarize this one. He says, you can see that this government's priority is to increase salaries of, okay, I'm not going to use that expression, of the judiciary that brought him into power. I don't know about that one. I mean, INEC, judiciary, not the same thing. 300%, unlike civil servants, paying them peanuts, considering the nightmare they have put Nigerians through just because of 2027. Also, 90 billion for pilgrimage for, you know what, Dio, I'm not really feeding this your message. Let me see here. Deji says, all this back and forth debate on how much the Senate received as salary can be solved if they can present their paychecks. Publish it for all to see. Very simple. Joseph Menye says, Femi Kuti in one of his songs titled Sorry, Sorry in a particular verse, with this kind leaders, Nigerians no get hope. We go suffer till it reach our bones. That's the reality we're facing today. Just imagine a government agency lying about the exact salaries, benefits, and allowances our leaders, senators, lawmakers, ministers, and so on and so forth earn. Do you know if Nigerians are aware of the exact amounts that... Wait, do you know if Nigerians are aware of the exact amounts that might lead to anarchy due to the anger in the land? May God bless Nigeria. We hope and pray that that doesn't come up at all. Ajayi Olunilowa says, nobody is talking about the salaries of the legislators, but the outrageous running costs and constituency allowances they award to themselves in the yearly budgets they prepare themselves. And how come the judiciary is being awarded 300% salary increase while other civil servants have just been given below 100%? All right, thank you for your message. All right, let's get back into the conversation. Devo and Lakule still with me on Freshly Pressed. So let's head into Premium Times, Devo, where Nigeria introduces a policy to revitalize the healthcare system. Now, to transform the nation's healthcare landscape, the Nigerian government has introduced a policy targeted at addressing the workforce challenges facing the health sector. Now, it's aimed at tackling the issues of migration of healthcare professionals, basically brain drain. What do you think about this one?
Okay, one of the super ministers, there are two in this federal cabinet. One is the minister, coordinating minister of the economy, Wale Edu, and the second super minister is the coordinating minister of health and social welfare. That's Mohammed Pate. I'm not surprised that he's pushing forward on this, given his experience globally. However, the health sector in Nigeria obviously is dogged with many challenges like every other sector. And one of the key highlights is that Nigerians spend upwards 600 billion naira outside the country to get proper health care. And part of the challenges is that within the last 10 years, we've lost about 16,000, if not more, health professionals. And this includes doctors, lab scientists, and nurses. Now, this migration has always been because the working conditions within Nigeria have not been favorable. So most times you see them going off to the UK, going off to America, Australia. You even hear there's a bulk of them in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, etc. and co. And the question has always been, how do we stop this migration? What are we going to do? At some point within the last administration, I think the then Labour Minister, having been a medical doctor himself, that was Ngige, took a very, what I call it, belligerent attitude to the matter, saying that they were ungrateful for getting cheap education and then going away to get better things for themselves. However, this minister, Pate, has, I think, put his listening ears down to the ground, because we've always recommended Nigeria, given the fact that education is comparatively cheaper here, and to the extent that we produce quality doctors and nurses, to borrow the framework that takes place in East Asia, whereby countries like Bangladesh, the Philippines, and Indonesia, who are also known for high healthcare personnel migration, create a framework so that those citizens, when they go abroad, do not get the short end of the stick, and in a way that it becomes some level of national outsourcing, okay? And both in Europe and the Americas, healthcare professionals have been a huge problem for them in terms of getting quality ones. Hence, the reason that some of these countries create these frameworks so that their citizens get a better package. And then the country itself earns from the service charges and the fees that come alongside it. Now, Pate recently introduced this policy, which, like I said, it's just one out of the many problems. However, apart from just saying it, we want him to quickly accelerate the implementation, because the truth is this: I'll be frank with you. Literally, I've not spoken to any Nigerian health professional who doesn't have Japa on his mind. It's just a matter of time, and. Pate was saying that this framework is to enable them, one, get a good package if they must japa. Two, for those who have jackpad and are looking at bringing back the bulk of the experience back to the nation, they can also create an enviable path for them to come back into the country. Now, this framework, and I hope other ministries, other sectors will adopt it, especially where it concerns other professional courses like architecture, engineering, and other forms. Because the truth is, the biggest commonwealth, or the biggest treasure that Nigeria has, is not its oil and gas. Rather, it's people who are very ebullient, who are very agile, who are very industrious, and always leaving the challenges they have in this country to go and what's the word? To go and perform excellently in other countries. And it's about time we begin to find a way to, take advantage of this, and also try and see how we can make service working conditions for Nigerian personnel even better.
Thank you for that, Devo. I actually love that last line. And on that one, I'm going to come to you, Lakuni, just to get your thoughts on this particular matter as well. I mean, looking at the number of healthcare professionals who have left the country, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. This should definitely also lead to a situation where the real reason these individuals are leaving is addressed. Because, hey, if things are rosy, why would I bother myself to take all my skills and take or put my life to a foreign country where I have to start afresh. Let me get your thoughts on this one, Lakule.
For me, you know, I hear we've spoken severally about this, about the number, even if all of them stayed, compared to our estimated population, we don't have enough. The biggest or the training school for medical doctors in Nigeria that has the highest accommodation by NUC accommodates 200, and that's the University of Ibadan, UCH, 200 every year. So every point in time in a 6-year period, University of Ibadan can only graduate 1,200 doctors in a year. So superimpose that on is it about 51 or 52 medical schools in Nigeria? Let's assume all of them have the same number of 200 every year. That means we only have maximum of one. That would be 1,000. 12,000. There I may be because of time. I'm not going to the arithmetic. But when we look at that number, then these people receive this education for free. But then little things such as one, imagine, so they finish school. Before they go to serve, they must do the 1-year compulsory house job. It's only in they can do it. They now tell them that there's no space. You can only accommodate 5 out of 100 for that house officer job. So that means you have 190 people waiting for next year. The next year's 200, we join the 195, they'll take another 5. And so on. So the frustrations that go on, then they eventually survive that. They go to serve, they come out, then they get overworked. Nobody is well paid in Nigeria anyway, so don't let me even go to the money part. They then get overworked. You see doctors doing 12-hour shifts, and then you say that they make mistakes in the theater, or they misprescribe drugs. When somebody is overworked, the tendency is there for it to be. So beyond the money, beyond the other external factors that a lot of them say, like Devo said, I want a better future for myself. I want this, I want that. This satisfaction they get from work itself, is it available? Do they see a chance that they can rise and get to the peak of their career while they are here? These are the things that I wish this policy will address. And I look forward to seeing these policy documents made public so that we can even look at it and see how strong we can get with it and how encouraging it will be to keep our children studying medicine here.
All right, thank you for that, Lakule. We're going to round up with a number of messages that have come through. Yinka Bolu says, Divo, thank you. In fact, I owe you 2 chilled green bottles. How Obasanjo began to sound like he wasn't among the National Assembly salary madness, and he was like, are you for real right now? He further says, at times, certain individuals really need to learn when to remain silent. I struggle to understand what Senator Shehu Sani aims to accomplish by making this revelation. Even Ben Bruce, who initially pushed the common sense agenda, has since stopped discussing it. Do you think there wouldn't be chaos if the salaries of certain individuals were made public? We must be cautious with the information we choose to disclose. All right, thank you for that, Yinka. I have to take a couple of more messages. Fabian from Ekwe says, my concern with Nigeria is not the enactment of policies, but in its implementation. We are still awaiting the full implementation of the Orosoye report. The government needs to be reminded that as they continue to focus on the healthcare workers who have migrated and fail to listen to those who are still here, more will leave. This is Barrister Dan Ukuda. He says, why are the salaries of the National Assembly shrouded in secrecy? There's obviously something they are hiding that they don't want Nigerians to know. Dakbo says, in the good old days, the yearly salary of a civil servant could buy him or her a brand new Beetle or a 504. Now, inflation, bad governance, reckless spending, and wastage has propelled us into the bottomless pit when public amenities were still effective and functional. Going to say in the 70s that money was available, but how to spend it was the issue. They knew how to spend it, but they didn't spend it where they should have spent it. Dami from Ikeda says, what about the cars that were given to all members of the federal legislature? Under which law or authority did they get those? Ironically, the judges didn't protest before getting 300% salary increases, but protesters were tear-gassed for demanding better living conditions. Thank you for all your messages. On that note, we need to draw the curtain here. Thank you so much, Olakole, and of course, Mr. Devo Okorie. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on Freshly Pressed. Always a pleasure having you guys on the show.
Thank you, Ayo, for having me. Devo, see you when you come out of the jungle.
All right, Devo, do have a great morning. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. And thank you all for being a part of Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned because at 8:15, we're going to get into the locker room.